also, I believe check and balances. If you give one group too much power, or in this case, too much job, they can't get it done.
Yeah.
But here, even a 4-year-old kid, 3-year-old kid, the other day when we did the training, the actual call came from a 4-year-old kid that her dad was unconscious, but she was on the phone with 911. She know how to call 911. You know, couldn't you imagine if Cambodians had the same thing? You know, you see in social media that when there's a car accident, you don't see the police. You see whatever the social media person trying to figure things out. You don't see fire to go, you know, take care of the injury. So I like to see that change.
Yeah.
You know, it's could be done.
I'm just curious about, so postal. So when I think of postal here, is a regular mailman, right? Who delivers mail to us, you know, put in a mailbox. But in Khmer, it's a little bit different.
No, well, I'm sure they have a mailman too, but it's under a postal. Yeah.
Jamriap Sua, welcome to KhmerTalk podcast, where Khmer voices resonates. I'm your host, Srai. With each episode, we will explore stories and ideas that connect our community, celebrate our heritage, and spark new perspective. Whether you're listening or watching this podcast around the globe, this is your space to get inspired. Let's jump in.
Today, we're joined by someone whose story is as powerful as the work she does. Vary Siv is an advisor to CaMSafe and a supporter of Love in Action, two organizations doing meaningful community-centered work in Cambodia. And what I love about Bong is this. She's a woman whose love for Cambodia has never faded, no matter how far life has taken her. Residing in the U.S., she continues to carry Cambodia in her heart every single day, and you can feel that in everything she does and touches. I'm excited to hear her journey, her passion, and the impact she's helping create back home. Bong, welcome to the show. Before we get into your work, I'd love to start with your story. What experience shaped the person you are today?
See, a little bit about myself. It is my passions to support our Khmer community, both here and back home as well. I strongly believe in an idea that you should just not point out the problem. You know, be a part of the solutions. That's always been my belief. And, you know, don't just sit around raising questions and point out obstacles. So with that in mind, obviously I've been to Cambodia many, many times, countless of times throughout the years. I try to use my years of experience in social work and in law enforcement with those combinations of at least 35 years in this country. And also looking for something to be involved in when I'm reaching that retirement age. So with the law enforcement and the social service background, I believe those are working in the human service field every day. That's what I do here. I also feel that with that knowledge and skills, I could make a difference for our country. In 911 emergency response system. And it took me a while to where I'm at now, at least about 3 years, to kind of figure out my role.
So the backstory between, you know, you coming on to the Khmer podcast is that one our member nominated you, Bong, to be the guest. And I couldn't believe it because I have known you in the community for years. And I didn't realize the amazing work that you're doing for the community back home. And I was so inspired to hear a little synop on you, the things that you do, especially Love in Action, right?
Right.
And so, you know, I'm excited. The team is really excited to have you on. And the 911 system that you are doing going to be amazing for our country. On that note, can you tell a little bit more about yourself and what have you done with this type of work?
Well, so to go back to, you know, with years of experience in law enforcement and social service with the span of about 35 years in, you know, committed in making differences in with this society already, I figure, why can't I do that back home? It only makes sense to me with the skills and the knowledge that I've learned throughout the years.
So, Bong, you're an advisor to CaMSafe and supporter of Love in Action, right?
Right.
So can you tell the listener what is CaMSafe? It's abbreviation for an organization, right?
Yes, it is. It's an abbreviation for, so CaMSafe is a safety solution, a Cambodian safety solutions organization. It's a nonprofit organization out of Cambodia, which is dedicated to road safety, environmental and public health vulnerability in the community. So I got involved in Love in Action around 2022 with sponsoring around I want to say 16 to 18 delegations. I don't remember the exact number from various departments in Interior Ministry to road to medical team to study basically of emergency response system in the United States. And that was about 13 days of hosting. But at that point, with my role was logistic, housing them, feeding them. So I wasn't really too involved. I mean, I was in the technical team. That's when it really inspired me to continue working with the team of Love and Actions. From that, I've gone back to Cambodia many times, and one of the project about 2 years ago, I did the first aid and CPR training in my husband's hometown at Bathian. So that was one of the 3 provinces in Cambodia that has been trained in first aid and CPR. So that's after I host a delegation that came here for their first EMS training. CaMSafe also helped Love and Action many, many years. The 2 partners that's been working together for the last, I want to say 8 years in Cambodia, trying to do the first aid and CPR training to all the police officer in Cambodia, which is about 24, 25 provinces. And so far they have trained 3 provinces already, Siem Reap, Battambang, and Bathian. And I was able to participate in the Bathian training about 2 years ago with my husband and the governor and some of the head of the police department there. We were very receptive to the training. From that, Love and Action had a plan for the safety training, the first aid and CPR emergency training to roll out hopefully throughout the entire country. And they were setting a goal for 10 provinces. So hopefully that will come about soon, with fundings. And of course, with our country, the way it is right now, things are on hold, which is unfortunate. At that point, I've always wanted to do 911 piece. And so with my involvement with the team, I went back to Cambodia in April, trying to understand how the governmental system really work. I spent a whole month there with some of the police officers in and out of the police department, just kind of have a feel, how do I fit in? And what would I do, when I do retire? What can I contribute? First aid and CPR, I know how that works, but I just have no desire to do physical strength or do something that, it just was just in me. And so I came back in mind, and this is out of coincidence. My sister-in-law visited United States in June, and we got to talking. And at that point, she really was interested in doing 911, but they call it a hotline. And she's actually has been studying it about 3 years now, a different country. So at that point, she's like, yeah, I've been trying to do this for 3 years now. Would this be something that, we can work together? I said, sure. So when she went back to Cambodia, she met with some of her upper management. They agreed to a meeting. And at the same time, I was not doing this under Love and Action. Bruce Hine, the founder of Love and Action, pushes for me to be on my own. At first, it sort of kind of made me scared and kind of disappointed. I've been helping him for 3 years, but he had a plan, and I didn't realize that. And I had thought, what I'm going to do is I don't have nonprofit. How am I going to make this work? You need nonprofit to sponsor people. So he was like, well, I want you to do this on your own. I know you can do it, but you can't use Love and Action. So I was like, do I go start a nonprofit, or I'm just going to go with it? So after the first meeting, the Cambodian team of 5, yes, say they're interested. In the meantime, I'll go back. I did have a meeting with one of the fire that was a part of Love and Action. He wants to continue to help me to do his connection of the fire department. And then we found another partner out of Washington State 911 center that run out of Fort Murray. And so she agreed to help on volunteer basis. So all of us are volunteering. We met together first, and then we asked for a meeting with Cambodia. And so then at that point, we did a Zoom meeting. They said, yeah, they're interested in it. And that was about, I would want to say, in August of this year. And from then, we asked the team from Cambodia, what do you want to learn? So they actually wrote up 5 points from government structure, HR, funding, the legality law that goes with that. And so at that point, Katie Gilbert, the 911 person with the state of Washington, came up with a curriculum for them to come. And then we hit the mic at 911 Sound, the director, I can't think of his last name at the moment, he wrote a letter to invite the delegation to come. So with that letter, they took it to the embassy in Phnom Penh, and they were all approved to come. And at that point, middle of the war, I wasn't even sure they're going to make it or not. But even though they're approved, it feels kind of weird that they're here and the country's at war. But the more I think about it, we can't stop living, and we have to do our part to continue to make our country improve regardless of what the situation is. And so with that in mind, they came last week for a week. They were very, they all spoke English. So we didn't need a translator or an interpreter. We had the training set up where they visited 911 in Pierce County. They spend time on the floor with call receiver, with dispatchers, so they can see the experience from a call coming in all the way to being dispatched into a police car or a fire truck. We also visited Seattle 911, Seattle Fire Department. We see the police car where the information comes out and how calls are being triaged based on priority. Same thing with the fire department in Seattle.
Wow. So you did this on your own, right, Bong? That's amazing.
I did, but almost at the end of the project, I did have a Cambodian gentleman by the name of Henry T. He came on board, and I did ask him to help with logistics, but mostly for support, because I needed a second person to kind of give me feedback of what's going on. But I also reluctant, I want to make sure that things run smoothly, because I'm those kind of people that I like to see success. And I'm not, I wouldn't necessarily paint myself as a control freak, but I'm OCD to a point where everything has to have lists, order, so I'm very detailed how things should be done. That's just always been my could be my gift, or could be a downside for some people. So I see the outcome, and, I had the budget, the room. So I did the traveling logistic for them, and, rented a car and make sure they are picked up from the airport and so forth. So they stayed at hotels nearby my home so I can pick up in the morning. I took a week off from work. Again, that's my contribute to Cambodian.
No.
So I took a week off and took him to class, do the training to bring him back home. And so that's, it was, to me, what they've learned during the training was to be able to start up a 911 in Cambodia. That's my hope. I also see that they're a little bit overwhelmed. I mean, the jet lag was one thing, but to know that we have a multi-million-dollar 911 and a country doesn't really have a 911, could it work? Would it be possible? The most important part or the struggle that they have is to change the mindset of society that here's 2025, we have 911 over 50 years. They don't have 911 there. So can we convince people in the government and the country to make it work, And I told them that, let's think about Bruce also, he had a really good advice, think of 3 in separate components, like things that you can actually do in Cambodia now, things that maybe you can do. And the other one is, no, we cannot do that in Cambodia. So kind of split into 3 different categories, kind of break down and make it easier for them to absorb what they learn. Because I see their skills in computer and technology, because these team that came, so they are from the Postal and Telecommunication Ministry. So that's equivalent to our U.S. Postal and the Telecommunications. So that's, their department, but they called it a ministry. And because they understand technology, and, 911 has a lot to do with servers and a whole bunch of text behind the scene, CAD system, and they understand all those technology when they were here, because we went into server room, we went into all that, technology stuff that's behind to make all that 911 work.
I'm just curious, so postal. So when I'm thinking of postal, here is a regular mailman, right? Who delivers mail to us, put in a mailbox. But in Khmer, it's a little bit different.
No, I'm sure they have a mailman too, but it's under a postal. Yeah.
So, but they integrated into their 911 system in a way.
Well, they haven't done enough.
I mean,
but they're going
in the future.
Originally, I wanted to be under the Interior Ministry, which equal to police department, right? that's what Bruce and I had thought. We thought that would be the best route. But then we realized that, well, 911 in this country is not under the police department. They work with the police department, but it's not, sworn police officer. It's civilian. So with that in mind, also, I believe check and balances. If you give one group too much power, or in this case, too much job, they can't get it done. Because, they have 2 other projects that they still are working on. So I want them to kind of focus on that project. With the technology that telecommunication have, they also their ability to speak English quite well when they're here. They can do the training without a lot of interpreter, and they understand. To be called on one call receiver, you got to be able to type, you got to be able to think, and you be able to operate computer. Sometimes, not to say that all police officers in Cambodia, but they're not very equipped with computer. So, they're limited in their skills. That's the word I want to use. And so with that in mind, it's kind of hard to operate. Here you have 7 to 8 screen of 911. We're not going to get that much of the screen, but at least the basic knowledge and be able to type fast, take the information down, and be able to get on the radio and dispatch. So we really need like a very, I call it a high energy person that's able to multitask.
Yeah. Doing research on this podcast, I was looking at that's not limited on the Cambodian Safety Solution
Organization.
Yeah. But what is admirable about that organization in a way is like they really try to promote youth, and because it all comes to the traffic safety, right?
Yep.
Drunk driving. Yeah. And when I was reading it, it's right way to try to teach safety. Yeah. So that that's I'm sure you're an advisor for them to that organization. You're able to bring back what we learned here about drunk driving, right?
So when I was there in April, a lot of the people that I had dinner party with or out with, they're worried about getting caught, being drunk. So they're out there, getting tested for drinking. So the community and society is worried about drinking and driving. But when I became involved with CaMSafe, my advice to them was one of the projects that I would like to work on was to be able to bring driver's ed to all the high school in Cambodia. Because most of the kids that's riding motorcycle, they don't have a driver license. The motorcycles under certain 200cc, I don't know all that criteria, but I know that there's certain horsepower on the motorcycle. You just hop on it and there you go. But you're involved in traffic and they have no clue about traffic. So with a lot of accident or motorcycle accident, and I feel like if the kids in high school learn driver's ed, and there's an incentive to teach them so they can grow up to be a better kids in society and know the rule of the road. Cambodians, to me, as a law enforcement background and a person living in this country, road congestion is not just the road. It's also people not understanding the rule of the road.
Yes.
So that plays into the congestions even more. But if the high school kids are taking driver's ed and learning that, and that was one of the projects that I had kicked around with the director of CaMSafe, is how can we bring that to Cambodia in the future? Where all the kids in high school can learn the basic knowledge of road safety. Road etiquette, driving, driving in their motorcycle in the middle of the road and all these cars and stuff.
Yeah. Yes, it's true. How we hear from kindergarten, the start of school, they teach you, make sure you look left and right, don't cross the street, and respect the rules and that is set in place. And even people, the driver here, we have a school zone. You get double the ticket if you go over 20 miles per hour, right? Yeah. So are you hopeful that Khmer will be in a standard like that? There's certain things that you can speak on potentially in the future that can happen for safety, right?
Yeah, right. So on the safety part, our society in Cambodian, I don't want to be an expert of the whole country. That is not my place. So what I see myself or envision myself was to take what I'm able, which is the 911 piece, and let's get started with that, and bringing them here, the delegation, and also at the same time, if they decide to do this, they will have to write a policy, create a law, and funding source. After they have that, what next? We recommend that we do a pilot project in a smaller province, not in the city. And we had kicked around 3 different province idea, and we might do 2 just for the comparison. But I think it's doable. We go with the very basic CAT system. We had found one that Belize are using.
So what is CAT system?
A CAT system is a computer operated system it's designed to take a call in this country. I mean, here in the state of Washington, millions of dollars of the system. For Cambodia, we can just get the basic one that a call comes in. We have to create a GIS system where identify the location because Cambodian doesn't pop up an address, because here we know who's calling, even though we use a cell phone. Even though we have a longitude and latitude, in Cambodia, we do have a cell phone. We can identify longitude, latitude. But the mapping system is not there for the police department. In the police department, when I was in the police department, we know a jurisdiction is divided up into so many maps. So we know one police officer works in this area, another one or 2 work in this area, and 1 works here. So as a call receiver, you can see that I'm available to do a call. Well, in Cambodian, you don't know who's in what district. So we would have to create a mapping system that goes with the triage of the phone, because we're going to use longitude, latitude to know that who's called that's closest to that police officer, or that police officer need to go to that house. So those are things that need to be created. But that can be done because we could just use a phone. We don't need to have a police radio at this point. You can call, you can send the detail, the information, like someone's, hurting each other and at this house or this longitude and latitude, and then we can send a police officer there, or there's an accident, we can send a car to go get them. So hopefully we'll start out with, mistakes and not perfect system, but we're going to have to figure that all out together.
Yeah.
As long as we get them started, I figure, it's not going to be a perfect system. Unlike our country, the 911 has been around over 50 years. So we can't be like American, but we can be somewhere, to a very basic level.
Oh, no. Yeah. I mean, we got to start somewhere. Well, so your hope is when for Khmer to work this?
Yes. I'm hoping to start out with the policy within this coming years. And I myself had made a commitment to continue helping them on the training piece, because you need to hire certain individual that could handle 911. It's a very stressful job, because you're hearing people screaming, fighting, crying. It's not an easy job. So you have to find that special person that's not easily push over, but can get the information during a crisis situation, at the same time that they able to handle the stress of the job. So the commitment for me was to go learn call receivers 80 hours course. So hopefully I can be a trainer for Cambodia in the future.
Right.
Yeah. So, with that, maybe we can start a nonprofit here. I'm looking into different names to be able to get some funding to do the training piece. If there's a possibility that someone can drop us a bigger lump sum of money, maybe we can buy them a CAD system that they can start out with as to that test pilot.
So if we think about it, maybe this Khmer podcast will help you achieve that goal. Hopefully our listener hear this and contact one of us here to be connected with you, and then maybe have a little show note about who, if they want to support, and how they can go about supporting your cause. I think it's amazing, Bong, because, as Khmer, we don't have that system. Our lives are really important, right?
Right.
So I think, I don't know, it touched my heart when I hear that you humbly is doing this to help us Khmer. And I, my hats really go off to you. And, like I said, I hope the listener will, when you launch this, that you will come back and we talk a little bit more about, where you at and what kind of support they can donate or do something to help your cause out. Right. So that's why this Khmer talk exists, right? Well, is to do that, to help all of us Khmer. I think as Khmer, we really genuinely love for one another. It's and this is it. This is the platform for you, Bong, for you to hopefully expand on your 911 cause. And I think that it's going to be amazing. I can't wait for it to see, hopefully,
sooner than later.
Yeah.
Well, this is the process that could take up to years to see some result. But I think the important part is we're saving lives. That everyone's life need to be safe, not just the rich, not just the poor, not just
Yes.
the educated. So for me, this is an opportunity to, like I said, bring back my skills that I've learned in this country, that I've helped this country for over 35 years, and I could do the same for my country. And I also want people to know that every one of us has a skill that can be of value to our country. We just have not found the right spot, the right platform for it, because each one of us give, we give, and it makes us happy to give. But to change societal improvement, it is a little bit more challenging. And that's why I like these different projects. It's changing to improve lives. And so I perceive that a lot of people in this country are able and capable of helping, needing to be the right platform.
Yeah, hopefully this platform will help you. And also, not to say that we don't help the community here.
Oh, yeah.
We love our community. We love, what we do. But this isn't a segue to even enrich more of our where we were rooted, right? And then to help to really see the displaced, individual, that they do have a voice. And I admire the 911 system. Like there's no what's the word I was trying to say, is that there's no rich or poor, where your economic status is at, right? If you call into 911, you gotta get the help. So it's about humanity. It's not about,
You gotta have money.
to pay for somebody to go out.
To go put a fire at my house because I don't have the money. And so I'm hoping that this system that will give our country that opportunity. I mean, for us here, we take it for granted because it's been set up for us for so many years. So the system is continue to improve even better. But here, even a 4-year-old kid, 3-year-old kid, the other day when we did the training, the actual call came from a 4-year-old kid that her dad was unconscious, but she was on the phone with 911. She know how to call 911. Couldn't you imagine if Cambodian have the same thing? You see in social media that when there's a car accident, you don't see the police. You see whatever the social media person trying to figure things out. You don't see fire to go, take care of the injury. So I like to see that change. It's could be done. It's just someone, maybe create a little riffle in the wave or whatever. But it's not impossible. If we put our mind to it, and if the Cambodian government is going to support it. And I believe they care. If they care enough by their own people, they should change. That's just my belief. Yeah, it's doors, might be shut. You just keep on knocking to another one. But I believe, from my understanding from, the Cambodian government, that they want the system, but maybe it takes a lot of other people to put it together and make it work. So there's a different component to go with it. I mean, every day, you and I work in this country and we help, but we also get paid to do. And sometimes when you step out of that box and I'm not being paid, but I love it. It's like you want to see the change. It's just something that is my passion.
Yeah. And talking about passion, you when we spoke, you talked about, you brought some medicine and some equipment back home, right? Can you share a little bit more of that type of work that you did?
So working with Love in Action, Bruce Hine, he has access to Gateway Medical Supply, which is out of Ken. These are a warehouse that people donate all door medical supplies, in addition to medical supplies that companies that probably going out of business or almost ready to expire. So you get everything and anything from solutions to needles, except for medication in there. They donate these items all over the world. During COVID, they sent a lot of it to Cambodia through Bruce Connection. So with that, I was able to meet the director there. So for the past 3 or 4 years, I've been able to go back to Cambodia and bring, each time my spare luggage. And sometime I will buy clothes in Cambodia. I'll probably take 4 luggage of 50-pound bags of any medical supplies that I can donate to hospital. The recent one that I did in April with another family, we went to Svay and we brought 3 bags of 50-pound of various things for the maternity ward. And then when we got to Cambodia, there's some supplies that's left over from Bruce organization. We went to pick up things to deliver a woman's, in a rural area that after she give birth, she has to walk. There was wheelchair or hospital chair that we could donate to her. So we clean up and brought it to one of the provinces towards Svay. So we're able to do that. And those items, as long as they can proved to me, or at least showed me with, without any doubt that they're going to donate that and not sell it or anything like that, that we'll support it.
Oh, okay. So the listener here can able to contact.
They can contact me and we can talk about it, to see who they're donating to, which hospital, we just want to say, well, I have a friend. And who's your friend? I mean, they're not a big monetary value, but it does need to go to a charity that was intended for. So for now, there's few people that I know that had joint project with me to do these things. And in the past, it's easy to coordinate charity project for me. I just have a lot of families and connection in Cambodia. I think in around 2002, we also did almost like 400 soldier in Privy, and now I want to say like 68 officer that we did a huge donation to supplies, to food. I felt really good. I'm sad about the war, but for some reason, I just felt good that I did something before the war for the Privy soldier. And that was huge. It was 400 people right at the bottom of the mountain. We gave them monetary gift as well, but we had food. We had for like 400 soldier. That was a lot. And that was amazing. That was an amazing experience. But every year I would, my husband's 60th birthday was to spend all his day and his money on a hospital in Telecommunications. So that was nice. And then my sister-in-law, they have business, so they join in. And they, I want to say we spent about $3,500 on it wasn't a lot, but it was 400 patient, from food to, it was sweets, soap, water. I think it was like equivalent to like $15 per family of things that was delivered to the hospital. And we were able to, it was a lot all day long, passing out these items to 400. It was 400 and something patient that day. It was a lot more than I anticipated, but it was, that was his birthday, and it's like we wanted to do something different. So that was his 60th.
Wow. Khmer យើង ធ្វើ បន់ នោះ បង ណា
I truly believe in that. I believe that what you do, it'll get back to you, and if anyone wants to do something big in Cambodia, let me know. I do have access to family that owns wholesale. So they do all the logistics, which is nice. When you're there, how are you going to go pick up these things if you're going to buy a large amount? You count on someone to deliver the item to the location, and all you have to do is pass it out. And so we do have family member that owns wholesale business that, you can just say, I want this much amount. And they deliver to wherever you go. And sometimes they throw it in because she likes my in-law. She likes to donate as well.
Well, good. That's amazing. What you do. It seems like you go on this yearly trip, right? Back home at least twice a year.
One or twice, yeah.
Wow.
And, but the easiest part is right to give. It's easy for me. You donate and you feel good. They feel good. But I feel like the 911 project, to go back to that, is it's such a complicated project and change society of safety. So to me, that's just exciting to explore.
But to have, hopefully, the Khmer government is willing to kind of see something about this to help. It takes a village, right? Literally, this system gonna take the whole village of here and back home to make it happen. And I can't wait, to see that, the purpose of you doing this is to help everyone, that any one of us, that is amazing work, like Mom mentioned earlier about, if you don't have money, they're not going to come. And if there's a fire, and really, it did exist back home.
Yeah, it does exist, and sometimes
it did, or it still does.
Well, I don't know for a fact that it still exists, but I do know that the fire department's a little bit different how they handle stuff than we do, and so the police department. I mean, you can see the accident on Facebook all the time. So I see there's a group of youth in Pai Pat. I think because of the situation right now, that group is using Instagram. And it's run by a youth, and he gets donation, and he literally is doing all I would say the medics, and he has a little team that gets donation. And he sort of kind of inspired me. I mean, it's a little chaotic because at one time I can see there's 200 people online on Instagram. Can you imagine a couple thousand people on Pai? Whatever's happening, and he's responding to it. Sometimes there's police and there's some kind of accident. So it could be not safe for the young adult that does that. But if you can take that and make it more uniform. They have the ideas already, but it's not, it's not run certain way like in our country. I belong to I saw that group pull me in that. I think one of my sister-in-law, and it's pretty chaotic at that time. Kids is lost, and so it's like their own way of doing 911, and not just out of the bye-bye, but they mean J and bye-bye.
Long, can you talk a little bit more about, the crash safety back home, how the response to saving lives?
Well, the ideas of saving lives in the United States, we have this golden hour rule that if there's an accident and if you can get the victim to a hospital, there's a likely chance of them surviving. Well, in Cambodia, if it's in Phnom Penh, who's going to call the car for them? See, social media showing up first. So you need to have a police or an aid car. I mean, in this case, we try to equip the police with that training so they can have the basic skill of saving lives. If you have to put them in tuk-tuk or something to take them to the hospital and save them. But if the police are not responding to it, what does that say? Who's going to really save them? So we're trying to use the 911 as the eyes and the ears of the police department and the medic and the fire. Cambodian people can have a chance to live, basically. I mean, an accident that they can live, but they can't make it to the hospital. So how are they going to live when they can't get there? And so that's what I'm hoping for is, how would all that work with the police department and the fire department and the medic? In this country, there's a system. So
like a triage, right?
It is a triage. When you call 911 here, they would ask, if it's emergency or is it aid or is it, that's what the 911 are able to figure that out. If it's fire, it's going to go to fire. If it's medic, or it could all three, or can just two, or can just one. So the 911 person here has to be trained at least about a year to be on their own. They go through intensive training. So after that, they can figure out where the call should go. But, at first, I foresee with the delegation, they were saying things like, what if the police doesn't go? What if the police doesn't go? I said, yeah, maybe at first they won't. But, say an example, in one small province, you call the husband and fight, husband are beating up each other, or the husband really hurt the wife, just said that, right? And she's injured. Well, we were able to get the medic to go get her, to go get help. But the police didn't come and arrest him or didn't take care of business until, the call came at midnight, just for an example. But he didn't show up until, 7 hours later. But the text went to him at midnight, just like it went to the fire department or the aid car. So in the long run, I foresee that the governor of that province or the police department is going to get the heat from the community. If they call for help 7 hours ago and we sent as a call receiver, we're not telling you what to do. We just sent you the information, but you didn't do your job to save people. Yeah, we may create a problem at first, but if you look at it as a problem, then it's going to be a problem. But if you look at this as the fast way to help save people's lives, then it'll be the best way because you got the information right away and you need to go. So it depends how they spin it, right? If they spin it in a negative way, then we'll make them do the work. But if they spin it in a way like, oh my God, we got the information right away, let's go save people. So I'm hoping, I'm going to try to help them spin the other way around.
It's, with anything, we have to learn from our mistakes, right? Nothing is going to, hopefully, with your knowledge here in the state that, its problems will be lessened than, just from them starting from the ground up, right? Long, you kind of mentioned about Belize in the past, when we talked, So
there's a Belize, I don't know the population, but a small town, small country out of South America. 911 trainer at the state level, not the one that trained the delegation, but her colleague. She's a trainer for the state of Washington. She helped establish Belize. Took about 4 years, but now at first they have volunteer 911 call receiver. Now they actually have paid staff to actually run 911, and it's through the fire department. The police has not came on board yet, but only fire medic. So now the police are looking at it. You can still have 911, even though you have the 3 partner that we would want. But if one partner doesn't want to play, it's okay. But if you can prove that is effective, they may want to come in on board.
So Khmer is kind of doing shadow work with them?
No. So the lady that helped start up this program came and talk about that program because she's particularly does all the training for the state of Washington 911 trainer. They have certificate and things like that they need to keep up. So she came and talked about that project and the system they use. So it kind of give Cambodia an idea. Cambodia is about the size of Washington, so it's not that big when you really think about it, right? And so they took Belize as how they started and where they're at now. It took 4 years for her to start up from the bottom up with Belize. And so she had given me information about, and they also use nonprofit to do this out of the United States. And so I think they call it the Fireman Heroes, something like that, out of Belize. So they actually use nonprofit organization to help Belize. So I'm hoping that with them using a very simple CAD system, that we can use the same CAD system for Cambodia. We just need to have that translated into Cambodia. So the call receiver, things like that needs to be able to use the CAD. The lady that I work with, she contacted them already and they can translate it. It's just sort of like, how much it will cost us. And I'm hoping it's less because it's a very 101 CAD system. What they spend here, South Sound, is multi-million-dollar system.
Of course,
So not a lot of countries starting 911. So maybe, and maybe they'll work with nonprofit or something. I'm going to envision if I can get enough funding to get them start up with the system as a way of help them with the project in those pilot project in the 2 provinces that we may roll out. And then, of course, they would have to have an agreement to maintain that system later on. I don't want to go in with promising them, we're going to get this and that, because they're very clear before they left. They said, we need to ask our government to allocate funds for this project and a buy-in, basically.
So that's great. At least Khmer has a model to go off on in a way, right?
Yeah. So a simple one.
That, if this Belize is able to, within the 4 year, almost to, I mean, at least
it's not, it's working. They're having a 24-hour staffing. So we explore different ideas like, the telecommunication has their satellite office throughout all the provinces. We can run 911 out of those provinces and the main headquarters would be at Phnom Penh. So they already have a space. We feel that the education level in Cambodia probably need to be higher than here. Here's a high school degree. You can still be a 911 call receiver with intensive training. In Cambodia, we feel like maybe the degree need to be a little bit higher. Potential call receiver, we don't know yet. But at that point, I would try to invest in the training because I did ask the state of Washington if I can go to the 8-hour call receiver training so I can learn everything as much as I can. So when I become a part of helping creating the curriculum for the training piece and looking for the potential call receiver, I will be more equipped and understand it more detailed, that I could become a trainer myself.
That's amazing, Mom. Like I said, the work that you do, it just resonate with me. It just you were humble about it. I didn't know you were doing all of that until recently. And for us to be able to talk about it even more and to use this platform to help you. Hopefully we can help you with your nonprofit. Hopefully our listener who's listening here around the globe who able to want to support your cause, we'll have that information on the show notes, to contact us directly and to get connected with you.
And we are working with I'm working with Henry to come up with a nonprofit name. And also registered the nonprofit 501c3 so we can look at some funding sources and stuff. Because right now I'm using my time, my own, money to make this work. And I don't regret any of that. But it would help if we could travel and bring teams of trainer to Cambodia without having to dish out our own money. Our time is already volunteer already. So hopefully.
So there's a saying that, we work harder when we put money into it, right? You invest your money into it. So so hopefully back home we're able to come up and help you out with this cause, or at least, offer something to guide you with this process. And hopefully here too, that when you build your organization, KhmerTalk podcast will, help you too if we get somewhere. And what the cause we're doing, because really I admire you, Bong, for the bravery that you're doing, because being a Khmer female is a little bit a challenge for us, right, Bong, to go with in the male dominant culture, right? Who is she, right? What does she have to bring to the table? So hopefully
Well,
you're able to surpass that.
When, at the end, Bruce had brought me a little gift and it said, I think I can, I think I can. And at the end, what did I say? I can. So he purposely kind of pushed me out of the organization to make sure that A, I could stand my own weight, B, that I'm going to get respect that I needed from our own culture, that the delegation had to deal with me as a Cambodian female. And then at the end, I knew that he did it sort of on purpose to show that, yeah, you're going to have to deal with her, and she's capable of. And so then it was funny when I picked them up, they were like, you're driving? I'm like, I'm driving a van. It's not like, I'm not, oh, you're a good driver, So I was like, okay. But even though you tell them what you do, they still get like, they're not used to. Yeah. But hopefully that our culture will start open up for more of our female counterpart that is capable of and is educated in this country, that's willing to help. So I'm hoping that would just pave more road for all of us.
Yeah, I think they do in a way, but not really like in the broader, because our culture and tradition is the male is the dominant, the breadwinner, and they, their way or what is it? No way,
no way, no highway.
Yeah. So I mean, but the thing with you is you show up, Mom. That's the thing, that everything that we do is we must show up. Even for you to show up to this podcast and willing to open up to the world and on what you're doing, it's no more behind the scene. Now you are being upfront. And that is amazing. I'm sure there's, what you're doing right now is probably people know about it. But here in Washington, I didn't know, like I said.
I think Cambodians know about my project more than
the people here.
The people here.
Yeah.
I think I made a little mention at, our ADR coffee thing. I think everyone was like caught by surprise. So the next thing I know, someone sent an email, goes, can I get a picture of the delegation? Can you write a bio about what's going on to be posted on our county newsletter?
Yeah.
Which I thought I was kind of, chuckle because everyone wants to talk about, the homeless, whatever. To me, I'm one of those people that I like to be behind the scene, and I always like to push my team or where I work with, because it's not important. Although I think that people who do the job should be recognized, but it's never been important to me on the center of attention. I'm always happy to do it because I feel like, like you said, I do it. I show it up, I do it, and I don't like. I don't like talk. If you talk and you don't walk, then you're not going to be on my. I wouldn't say my side, but I believe in, walk to walk and talk to talk.
The same for me, Bong. I truly, I like when this came about doing this, I don't really like really much out there, kind of laid back, low key. But now the world is seeing me, that I'm doing this. I can't even believe myself. Because the reason for it is I have the belief that us Khmer people, we love each other. And we care for one another, and we have such a good heart for one another. And I think this is the way to showcase us, that we are normal people. We don't, we're just a normal, working people, but we do have hearts that we're so humble. We're behind the scene, and now we have the power to broaden that horizon. And sometimes we just need that little nudge to say, hey, come on, let's step up a little bit. And I think that's what you and I are doing today. We're stepping up. I know you're probably, back in Khmer, people know about you, but here, I don't think not a lot of us know about it. And so here you are, Bong. Yes. And so if our listener wants to support you, like I said before, they can always contact the KhmerTalk directly, and then the admin will be able to connect with you.
Well, like I said, we're starting a new nonprofit. I think that if you're out there, you think you have the skills to and love saving lives and be part of the sort of, I wouldn't say police department, but any background in law or in healthcare or things that, nurses or whatever. I mean, I don't know who's going to be on the board because I think I'll leave it to my other counterpart to come up with that piece. I told them, don't let me handle money because I'll just give it away to people.
Yeah.
Someone got to do that piece. But yeah, certainly, we're going to look for a board member and to make this legitimate and hopefully to get our board also recognized in Cambodia
Yeah.
as well. But I do have good relationship with the Cambodian police department currently. So hopefully with this going on board that would that be okay to come on board, to make it work?
Yeah. Well, I think this is a platform for you to be transparent,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So this is it.
Yeah.
This is it for whoever wants to come and join your organization. That this talk is for you, is being transparent.
Yeah.
That you are looking at potential board member and stuff like that to be a part of your team. And hopefully the team will form that have a similar vision like you to save community and lives, regardless of any community. I mean, not just Khmer.
Yeah, any community.
Yeah, any community that you will want to get involved with. That's you have to show up.
Yeah.
We all do, and you show up today.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you show up today, Bong.
Yeah.
So before we end this we have to ask you a little about. So, what one thing you're working on in your own life right now that you think other might relate to?
Well, actually, one of the things I'm working on right now is how to set up my retirement to make it more, you can't just put in your paperwork. You got to look at your house. You got to make sure your taxes all up to par. So preparing for retirement at my age, I think a lot of people are at my age ready to retire. Could we have something in common? Because we want to retire in Cambodia and be back and forth. So it needs a little bit more, what do you call it? Detail how that would work.
So it's all tied to what your passion.
Your passion. Yeah. Because I feel that when you're retired, what do you do when you're working 10-hour day? Do you spend the time at the temple? I don't have anything against Buddhism, but I'm just not at the temple level yet. So I want to be able to find something that I can do at least, 4 to 6 hours that I enjoy doing, and I may not need the money, but I'm able to help make a difference for entire country.
Yeah.
So basically, Cambodian will hire me to do certain things. Fine. If it's not, I will, work as a volunteer. There's other projects that I can do that it's not as complicated, and I've thought about those so much easier. But I always like challenge, so I don't want non-challenge one, right? So yeah, just preparing how to get my retirement in order and to look at things after retirement. You can only travel so much, but then you're just having fun. But saving lives is also having fun for me. So.
Saving lives, working
in the community,
and just show up. So please show up for us, the listener. With Bong, soon nonprofit organization, and even for this KhmerTalk, support this platform. What are we trying to reach is to bring anybody who want to share their stories, especially helping the community. Not just helping the community, but if they want to share their stories, this is a place for it. So hearing Bong, Vary today remind us that love for the homeland can travel any distance, and that service rooted in compassion can ripple far beyond where we stand. Her devotion to Cambodia shines through her work with CaMSafe and Love in Action. And I hope her story inspires you to reflect on your own roots and the way you can make a difference, whether you're near or far. Thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, share, and hit the bell icon for our next episode. Thank you. See, I have to read. Yeah, well, how long did that take?
An hour, 8 minutes.
Oh.
It's okay.
Is it a little bit better setting?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so.
Gout? Better? Okay.
I feel more relaxed.
You feel more
I
relaxed?
feel more relaxed when maybe the second.
Yeah, you do. You do.
Yeah,
Right?
I feel more relaxed. It's
And
more
then how about for me? I feel so sleepy.
I think your note needs to be bigger.
What?
Your note needs to be bigger.
Oh, no. I know.
From note.
I put sometimes.
Yeah, that is a little small for me too.
Yeah.
So you don't look like you have to read because I can see everything down here.
At the first one, I type it too big.